Good morning, Sir Martin. What's up? What's cooking? Today, June 27th, episode 126. And this episode is very specifically towards the whole green energy issue that I'm having with the proposal of NVGB for the solutions that have been presented to Parliament. To my understanding, have been signed off on the short term already, but not on the long term, and hopefully not on the medium term. But again, the information is very sketchy, very dubious sometimes, as I don't often like to say, but is unfortunate, a reality I'm caught with. And I find it very difficult to come on air and say something different. But before I dive into, and I want to just grab the papers there, I dive into my story of today. I like the front page that says, Farmer Vromi SG, Brown triumphs in court, reaches a financial settlement. Now, why am I happy? If there was one man that was vindictively moved out of function, tried to destroy, it was Lewis Brown Jr. The former minister of Vromi, Mr. Egbert Doran, had no valid reason to fire Lewis Brown. None whatsoever. And I say that because even if Lewis Brown had done something wrong, it didn't warrant dismissal. Dismissal means you take away their income. They have no means to support their families, pay their mortgages. And when you want to do this for a discussion you all had on WhatsApp and on phone, and the courts told Lewis the onlyest mistake you made was not having it written, the written approval from the minister. But we do believe the minister gave you permission. We do believe that. Because you wouldn't be having a 15-minute call if you were not discussing permission. Because if you didn't agree with it, you'd hang up the phone. But again, we know who we're dealing with. Besides that, when Lewis won his case and was to be reinstated, what did the minister do? Absolutely not. He refused to sign the documents to put him back and pay him. So he left him without money for the period of time that he was at home. And then started back another dismissal on Lewis Brown that he signed off on January 22nd of this year, after he lost the elections and knew he was not going to be coming back, to state that he cannot work with Lewis Brown anymore. So he must go. And the governor, and that's the one that hurt me, the governor will sign off on such a decision. And you're going to tell me there's no family politics being played? Please. Please. We got to be very cautious. But at least one thing was shown. The signature of a minister and a governor is not the ultimate word. The court has it. And the court told Mr. Lewis Brown, you are in your rights. You can get back your job, you get back, and we're going to pay you out everything we owe you. I think Lewis is tired of the games and has chosen for a financial settlement. I hope, let me publicly state this, I hope Lewis Brown becomes the candidate for the CEO position of Cadastre. Because if there's anybody who knows it, and if anybody knows Lewis Brown, he ain't no political puppet. And that was Doran's problem. He thought Lewis was going to be his political puppet, and that was not the case. And that's when you get rid of people. And then they go on the floor of Parliament in the GEBE meetings and say, oh, how the now leader wants to get rid of its local people. Man, you sure as hell don't have one mirror at home. Because you should look at it. Look at yourself. Look at what all you did at the airport. Look at what all you did in TLM. That's all your government. Sending home local people. Don't talk no stupidness about, oh, we want to do it. And oh, we doing this. And oh, we that. You all are. But I'm going to leave this for the political arena, the campaign that starts July 2nd. Use your recess well, sonny boy, to get your things in order. Use it well. Because the inevitable will happen. GEBE, the most important issue at hand in St. Martin right now is NVGB. While we are going to have a meeting at 11 o'clock, and I'll be finished way before that, about ENIA, and I hope the public listens to that meeting very carefully, because I am sure there will be some revelations about this ENIA deal and what was signed on to and how it's going to be financed and what it means for country St. Martin. Because what we have been able to uncover in the few weeks that we have been in government is mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. In GEBE, I'll discuss just now a few findings too that are mind-boggling. But again, like we all saw what happened Tuesday gone, when the whole GEBE issue of load shedding and the plausible solutions led to various coalition partners uttering discontent, not about the solution alone, but also the way it's going, the way things are going, the secrecy in which these solutions are shrouded. Because that's what's happening. It isn't a public secret that we are load shedding. There's a schedule every day. It's not a public secret that it's going to take some time. Everybody knows that. But what is a public secret is the way we go about these contracts. And I'm going to touch that later. Because I believe when that Pandora box opened, we got a much bigger problem than we have right now. What was scary though was the revelations about grid market. Why do I say grid market? Grid market has not been here today alone. Grid market came in about a year and a half ago, I believe it was. I stand to be corrected. But any place around February, March of last year, I think the former Prime Minister, Ms. Jacobs, signed a agreement with grid market. And when I did some research, I spoke out about grid market. And it was all, oh, he fear-mongering and he this and he that. But slowly but surely, things are coming to the forefront now. The questions that I didn't hear anybody ask the Prime Minister with regards to grid market, it was the involvement of NVGB. Were they involved in this whole grid market affair? When you read the reviews of February 2023 of the Minister of Samoa for the state of Samoa, when it comes to this whole grid market was the middleman, and they got exclusivity on everything. Now, I believe that is the same situation here in St. Martin, which, let me put it in simple terms for all of you to understand. If what is being stated is the truth, it means anything that GEBE does, buying engines, buying anything, it must go through grid market. Now, that's a funny thing, because if grid market is going to do the procurements and the engine buying, why are we looking for financing? Why are they not looking for financing? The second thing that I don't understand so good is the information sharing. Because on the floor on Tuesday, it was as if when one of the MPs started to talk about grid market and ask certain questions about the MOU, as if he had the document. And the document was only being provided at that point in time. But he was well prepared, so one wants to believe he had the document before. And he started asking questions. Nothing new for the Parliament of St. Martin that MPs have documents before others. Nothing new that stories are told on the floor of Parliament, because there's an immunity clause and you can be held accountable for certain things. But the letter of March 2022, I believe, by the former statutory director telling grid market, I cannot give you the information. And then the MOU, where clearly grid market had a lot of GEBE information, and it was signed off by whom all. Begs to ask the question, what happening? Now, again, I have spoken about GEBE in a few short videos to specifically highlight certain things. And I don't want to start repeating myself, but because there's not enough information coming forward out of this whole discussion in GEBE and what the cost is, the actual cost. Because you see, while we talk about containerized power, and this morning I was even having a little discussion with someone I have a lot of respect for, GEBE, Mr. Chittick. I think he's the best positioned, in my personal opinion, to take the helm back at GEBE. I believe that we are missing critical information. We run a plant on primarily bunker C fuel, which is much cheaper than diesel fuel. The short-term generators, the Caterpillars, are all diesel engines. It means your fuel class will go up. No place did I hear that GEBE was going to consume the additional fuel clause. One, no place did I hear that, because there's no free lunch. We paying $1.9 million to rent containers, excluding the fuel clause. The fuel clause at this point in time is 40 Dutch cents. That is using a lot of bunker C fuel. Now we're going over straight to diesel alone on that 10 megawatt. The government, through GEBE, should inform the public what that means for the fuel clause at the present day price, because that's what we are going to encounter 6 weeks from now. You see, and this is my problem. We are not being honest and transparent. Even though we claim to stand for that, we are not doing that. Tell the people what the fuel clause for those 10 megawatt are going to be. Because then you can make, those of us who can make some calculations can say, okay, this is going to be the fuel clause for the next coming 3 months, give and take. Because remember, our prices, like the EU Commission stated, are regulated by the sole supplier on this island. Some of you are afraid to say the name. The company is Sol. Sol also owns Chevron through another sister company. So they have a complete monopoly on the Dutch side. That's what the EU committee was referring to when they talk about the 7.7 million euro envelope specifically for St. Martin. Will most probably not be used because we are tied to contracts with those people. And this is why I say it's becoming mind-boggling on the decisions that are being taken. Because let's be honest, when you take the $1.9 million, the results of the kilowatt hour price are great. It's about 15, 16 Dutch cents compared to the 25 cents GEBE charges. So it's a savings of about 9 cents. In reality, wonderful. But if your fuel class is going to go up more than 9 cents, crap a smoky pipe. Because then it is not good for us. Then it is not good. So you see, transparency means tell the truth. Show all the information. Not some of the information, because all the Prime Minister is doing is reading off a paper. Whatever GEBE gives him, he comes out and he doesn't even question it. Hey, you sure that this don't make sense? Is this good? No, he goes out and he reads it. It becomes public consumption. And I'll tell you why I have an issue with that. Because I believe we're going to get yourself in serious trouble just now. You know, when you tell me that we're also going to lease to buy 20 megawatt, and that the warranty for that is 12 months factory warranty or 1,000 hours. Okay, great. You buy the 20 megawatt because I want to believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that it's going to replace the 10 megawatt that you're renting now for 3 months, and then you have another 10 megawatt spare. But correct me if I'm wrong. Again, all of them running on diesel because they are small engines. They are 1.2, 1.5 megawatt. They are small engines. They are not running on bunker C. Because anything that runs on bunker C has an additional separation of fuel, etc., etc., different type of injectors. Again, those engines we buying, nobody's talking about the spare parts. They're going to have to be bought. So it is going to become an additional something. Yeah, but we got a year. No, we don't have a year, sir. You have 42 days at 24 hours to reach the 1,000 hours of warranty. And if those generators are being bought, so that for the next 3 years, you can prevent load shedding, that means you can be running the engines. Because you're supposed to be replacing a bunch of engines. Because you said all of them had their lifespan. You see, the story doesn't close, and that's what's bothering me. That's what has me confused. I am not the smartest one, but I'm not the dumbest one either. So I just need to understand. Because GEBE staff doesn't work with Caterpillars. They have two down there. The old one that used to do the black start, and another one that needs repairing. That's it. Everything else down there has been Wärtsilä for years. But we are not buying Wärtsilä. We're buying Caterpillar. See, these are the things that become questionable. But again, like I said, I don't know what to think or what not to think. I don't understand why we are buying these diesel engines. I truly don't understand it. But again, I understand we need a solution for the load shedding. I understand that. So I understand the 3 months. I have a problem with the long term, with the medium term, and I have absolutely no understanding for the long term. And remember, we have industry norms. You hear a lot of people talk about N-2. Now, a lot of people don't understand what it means. So let me just try to explain it simplistic. If you have engines, I think right now GEBE has about 75 megawatt installed in the power plant. So installed capacity, that's not working capacity necessarily. And it would mean if everything was working and you would lose your two big engines, that you can still provide electricity to St. Martin. So let's say right now our capacity is 75, our highest peak is 57 megawatt. If we would lose the two 10 megawatt engines, we would have 55, so we cannot supply the island with electricity. So we are not in compliance with the norm. That's what it means. So the government, on the advice of GEBE, is going to first ensure that we reach that norm of N-2 with engines, so that we can then go over to alternative and renewable energy. Now listen carefully, people. That's a fool's gold. Not a goal. It's fool's gold. It is nonsense. And I'll tell you why. You're going to now buy 20 megawatt of diesel engines, new engines. The Prime Minister said 2024 fabricated. Those things have a lifespan of 20 years. Then you're going to buy 3 new engines, I would want to believe Wärtsilä, that are bunker C and LNG gas exchangeable, so most probably to use gas because it's a cleaner burn. That is then 50 megawatt of new power. And you want to tell me when you get 18 and 19 operational, which are quite new engines still, which got another 15 years easily, that then we're going to talk about doing solar? So we're going to make another big investment for solar, and we're going to pay off everything together while we're not being able to run everything and get value for money. That's the story that's being sold right now in Parliament, and the answers will come next week after Parliament close. People, this is ludicrous. I have nothing against nobody in GEBE. I know Mr. Washington well. I have publicly supported Mr. Washington in difficult times in GEBE. I've never questioned his integrity or his knowledge. But I have to question his knowledge now. I will not question his integrity, but I'm going to question his knowledge. Because it is impossible that that can be GEBE's position. To buy 20 megawatt of diesel propelled engines and 30 megawatt in the next 3 years. And then tell us, the public, don't worry, after that we're going solar. Or after that we're going green. Or after that we're going alternative. That is ludicrous. That's complete ludicrous. If GEBE does not want to do alternative energy or green energy, then say so. Then ask the government to have your concession redone. Because in your concession, it clearly states from 2010 when it was given that in 2015 there should be an X amount of percentage of alternative energy. Now, in all fairness to everybody, especially to Jerome and them, Mr. Chittick and them, in 2016, 17, someplace in that area, there was a request from GEBE that government turns over the parking lots, the public parking lots on the Walter Nisbet Road, the two of them, so that they can cover them, to build a cover and put solar panels on them and do that. And the government says, why should we turn over our parking lots when you have a big piece of land in Hope Estate? Why don't you do it there? We are now nearly 7 years further, 8 years further. Nothing has been done in Hope Estate other than the police practicing shooting. So if it was that it should have continued, maybe that was the location to go, and you don't have to be dependent on government to execute things, because right now you're not dependent on government to buy engines. You are deciding you're going to buy the engines. Government needs to help you safeguard the loan. But the decision seems to be clear. To hell with alternative energy, to hell with green energy, we want engine powers. And again, we're going to differ on opinions, and I have, like I said, I have utmost respect for Mr. Chittick. I understand his frustration because he was CEO when that request was made. I was head of public works. I was an advisor to the then minister, Christopher Emmanuel, when the decision fell not to turn it over. That decision was based on more, how would I say, more advices given from different sections in government, primarily from Vromido. Again, not to belabor a dead horse right now, but in 2017, we too wanted to do waste to energy, and it didn't happen for various reasons. Some being political. From the side of GEBE, it was not political, I'll say that much. From the managing board, it was not political. From the supervisory board, that was completely political. They were playing politics. People that should not have been advising were advising. And again, today, we could have had 15 megawatt in alternative energy with a waste-to-energy plant that was fully funded by those that were coming in and asked for two things from government. Two things. A power purchase agreement and the garbage. We gave them the concession on the garbage right away. The power purchase agreement became a discussion because of the take or pay. So if you don't take the electricity, you still got to pay for it. Something that we do today, every day, even though we dump in water in the sea, we pay for what we have to take. And any waste-to-energy plant that comes to St. Martin, be it through Grid Market or anybody else, the take or pay is part of that, no matter how we twist it. So it was something we could have had, but we don't have. And I said, we move on. I'm not going to belinger that issue anymore. But again, the whole question you have to ask yourself is, so where is the NRPB in this whole discussion? The 35 million that was made available to deal with the landfill, deal with the waste of energy. We paid 14 million for people to get off of land, but nothing else. A few pieces of equipment, hundreds of consultants, but nothing tangible. Nothing tangible. I know they even, I saw someplace on Facebook about they're going to talk to BZK and see if BZK will give them the loan. And I understood in the grapevines. BZK tell them, Van Hofland said, I'll give you a farewell gift. I'll give you the loan. But, one condition. Not to buy engines. And why would that be the answer? Because it's the same BZK that paid TNO to give a report on the electricity transition, the energy transition in Curacao, Aruba, and St. Martin to alternative. And you know what it said in our part, St. Martin? There's nothing other than what some private entities have done, like Sonesta have a little solar panel farm, and some other people got things on their roofs and so. There is nothing of tangibility when it comes to green energy. And yet we go on the floor of Parliament and we talk about buying 50 megawatt of energy power in engines that are going to run for the next 20, 25 years off of fossil fuels, be it gas, be it diesel, be it bunker C. And you're going to tell me we got a country at heart? No, we don't. We absolutely don't. I don't care how we want to change that, how we going to try to sell that. But that, people, is the reality we are being confronted with. I mean, I don't know how else to say this. You know, look, I'm not a proponent of heads ruling. It was stated on the floor of Parliament. I know they have asked for the supervisory board and the managing board or the temporary manager to be sent home. That is a political decision that the government has to make. The government is responsible for the supervisory board, and the supervisory board is responsible for the managing board. So government has their work to do, and it is clear that the supervisory board doesn't have insight in how to handle this problem. That is clear. Some of them are former employees. They believe they know it all. They don't know. Because if they knew it, they would not have allowed GEBE to reach in this position. They would not have. But again, like I said, in GEBE it seems to be every man for himself and God for all of us. But that ain't gonna solve this problem today. This crisis we have is damaging our economy beyond understanding by the government. When you ask the government, what is the economic damage done to this country? They can't tell you. The government is happy that 6 big businesses for about 4 megawatt, maybe a little more self if I'm not mistaken, are coming offline to help with the load shedding. But that coming offline also means they're not paying GEBE. So GEBE is not getting that money. And I don't want to believe those were the 50% not paying. Because GEBE is crying in their second show they had that 95% of the billing has been arranged, but only 50% is paying. So that creates naturally the mindset, okay, so where's this money going to come from? Because the reserves that they were claiming to have, clearly, when you hear the Prime Minister talk, is a reserve they want to build, not a reserve they have. So again, the way the information is being given by the various parties is only confusing to the people of St. Martin. And all the people of St. Martin are interested in right now, believe you me, is to having electricity in their home when they're there or when they come home. And hoping that things in their fridge don't spoil. And hoping that their microwave or their stove don't go crazy. I had a discussion yesterday with a few people. Nobody that I spoke to did not have damages to their appliances by GEBE. It's coming back in too hard, or is there, go, and then you hear them, go buy surge protectors. No! A service where a monopoly has taken place should not be telling people go buy this or go buy that. No! Give good service. Give proper service. Because that's the bottom line, service. GEBE isn't doing St. Martin a favor by keeping the lights on. GEBE is performing a service that they got a concession for to keep the lights on in St. Martin. That's what it is. No more, no less. Let's not confuse the roles at the table. You know, when I heard the grid market story on Tuesday, my mouth fell open. Because when one of the MPs wrote a letter of a former statutory director of GEBE to Grid Market telling them that he can't give them the information because it's of a confidentiality nature. And then you hear questions being asked by MPs clearly showing information was given. And then you see MPs get emotional. Then you start scratching your head. And you say to yourself, well, wait a minute. Wait. Because we like to use this new word. What is it again? Selective amnesia. Wait a minute. Anybody can remember the meter case at the airport with the local boy, Michael Hyman? He was accused of all kinds of things. All kinds. Today, the only thing they want to hold him accountable for is breach of confidentiality. Because he took the dossier as a whistleblower and gave it to the then President of Parliament, Mr. Bryson, who said he never got it. And he couldn't find it, yet they found that his secretary had signed for it and given it to him. And to the then Prime Minister, Ms. Sylvia Jacobs. Those are the two people he gave it to. And because of that, he is being fired. And because of that, he is being charged. So let me ask the Public Prosecutor's Office, because they follow the meeting just like me. So with the grid market MOU, the information that exchanged hands, is there a breach of confidentiality there by those who gave the information? And if the answer is yes, is there going to be a follow-up discussion with those people? Because it is clear that what's good for the goose got to be good for the gander. And we need to understand, not because we sit, and that's why I was so happy when the chair lady of Parliament told them, not because you're sitting in here and you believe you have immunity means that it can't have serious consequences down the road. So again, I'm just saying this because I feel that we're not treating our own fairly. But we talk about selective amnesia when it's convenient. Like I said, the TNO report speaks volumes It speaks really, it doesn't talk about any engines, it talks about going solar. St. Martin needs to go solar. Now, yesterday, not 2 years from now. And please, people, please, believe you me, if we want to, we have enough partners in Curacao, Aruba, the Netherlands, that are solar experienced, that can have crews on people's roofs in St. Martin and easily, and I want to use the word very loosely, easily put solar on enough roofs in this country within the next 6 months to a year to ensure that we don't need those diesel engines that we're going to pay 7-point-something million for right now. See, this is the problem. When you put them on, and I think it was Mr. Wilson Clifton who wrote about it on We Voice. I'm not sure, so don't hold me, but I think it's on We Voice, where he said, why don't they come out and please tell us in simple ways how this can be done? Well, Clifton, I'm telling you, it is possible. There was a whole envelope of 150 million euros signed a year and a half ago nearly, and absolutely nothing was happening. And then they come back and tell you, give us one more chance. Give you a chance for what? You destroyed Talem. You destroyed GEBE. You destroyed the airport nearly. You got a harbor running away from you. The hospital ain't going no place yet. Give you a chance for what? Exactly. To destroy it more? You sent home so many local professionals that people are afraid to come back home because they don't know when the tide turns what will happen. The European Commission speaks about the fuel distributors holding the country hostage until 2027. And what does this government do? They go and buy 50 megawatt of new engines. You sure you're all in bed with the fuel distribution companies? It is impossible that the EU Commission says this. TNO says this, which was commissioned by BZK. And you all just simply go out and buy 50 megawatts of current, of powered, fuel-powered engines, and everybody should just gobble this down as if you all are the saviors. You all are just as destructive now as the previous government. That's Claudius Boncampa's personal position right now. It might someday become my political position, but my personal position is you all are becoming equally destructive to the NA-up government. Because this is nonsense. I'm going to keep saying it. I will do what I have to do to get this message home. I'm backing down. Don't go ask Chris to tell me hush my mouth, because it ain't going to happen. I am now speaking on the well-being of country St. Martin. Not as a politician, but as a resident who pays a GEBE bill every month and still sits in darkness and perspires. So please, don't come with no hanky-panky nonsense anymore. I'm tired of it. I'm going to speak out. You know, like I said, I don't have an issue with the 3-month something because I would have opted for the badge. But hey, they said they're going with the containerized things and blah, blah, blah. We need to get electricity back in this country. But the mid and long-term plans, they are no good. And I know they went sign off contracts. I just hope that there's nothing wrong with those contracts. Because I can recall reading in the papers, if I'm not mistaken myself, that GEBE said there was going to be a request for proposal. And X amount of companies had to come in, and there was a whole to-do on the floor of Parliament. Oh, because the people that Christopher Emmanuel proposed, as the only MP in Parliament proposed the solution through a company, is because that company didn't get it. That's why he distanced himself from the position of, or the approach of the government. I'll say this much for now. That ain't the truth. But the truth will come out. It will come out. Remember what I'm asking. That request for proposal, I would like to know who all sent in a bid. Because if we know who all sent in a bid, when they sent in the bid, because I think the request for proposal was until June 21st. So from June 21st onwards, there has to be an evaluation and then a signing of the contract. Now, again, today is June 27th. Tomorrow will be June 28th. So last week, Friday, those bids had to come in. I want to believe over the weekend, they might have evaluated, maybe even Monday, and maybe then sign someplace in that area, because I'm understanding that they signed off on the 3-month generator thing. That was a request for proposal. So that on its own is something I need to look at, because I'm hearing different things, and I'm praying to God that what I'm hearing is wrong. I'm praying to God for that, because that's going to be another joke. That's going to be another joke altogether. So for now, people, I think I have been as clear as I can be. You know, it is sad because at this point in time, CFT jammed Country Samaritan a letter telling them that there will be no loans for 2024. So that stupidity, because that's all I'm going to call it, that stupidity of the former Minister of Finance with let's take the monies that we have on budget 2024 from the capital expenses, let's put that towards GEBE, is hogwash. It's hogwash because one, there was no loan, so there was no money. And two, now CFT says absolutely not. There will be no loan given to St. Martin. So I don't know who's going to sign for that $45 or $42 million for those new engines. Because St. Martin can't sign. Because St. Martin has to present an amended budget. Because the wishy-washy budget of 2024 don't hold no grounds according to the CFT. So you see, people, there are more problems that meet the eye right now than are being told. The transparency is not as transparent as one should be. And all I'm saying, we got to hold people accountable. We got to be transparent. We cannot have people in St. Martin who all they want is electricity, and I understand that and I support that. We must let them know that the electricity might be coming at a higher price than we anticipate. And that, though, is not being told. You see, so again, I just hope, I honestly hope that the government deals with the amended budget 2024. Hopefully then also the school teachers that belong to the school boards will get their money, because they didn't get no money, they didn't get no pay, and they can't get no pay because the budget doesn't have it in. The former government in December 2023 signed off a covenant, in my opinion now clearly a political covenant, promising all kind of things, including to the teachers of the school boards. But in the budget there was never any money to pay these people. And CFT is now saying, have the amended budget made so these people can get what's rightfully theirs. And the union who signed off on this to say they want to have a strike because they ain't getting it, this is becoming a joke. And like I said, the more we dig, the more we gonna find. The more lies we gonna uncover. And then we're going to see how selectively the amnesia truly is. Have a great Thursday. Listen to the 11 o'clock meeting of Parliament with the ENIA topic, and listen to what we are looking at in our future. Bunks is out. Have a wonderful day yet, and I'm sure we'll be talking to each other quite soon again. Take care.